With the Senate being a total mess and election season slowly creeping back into our consciousness, we may be looking to a new Senate composition with old names leaving and new names appearing. So what I want to try to do is predict what the Senate could look like in 2028. By the way, I'm not actually trying to predict how the Senate will look in 2028 because 1, that's impossible, people change their minds all the time, and 2, it isn't really that fun. This is a speculation of who might run and what the Senate could look like with the current roster we have for the election. Before we begin looking into the future, let's look at the current Senate. When a senator gets elected, they have a 6-year term in office before they can run again, with a maximum of 2 consecutive terms, meaning that a senator can be a senator for 12 years straight before being forced into a higher or lower position in the government. If a senator decides to run and loses, they are barred from being appointed to a public office until a year after the election. In 1992, 12 senators with the highest votes retained their office for 3 more years, while the 12 other senators were forced into either running for the Senate again or leaving the Senate. That's basically the gist of the current system of the Senate. In 2025, 12 candidates were elected into office, and 5 of them are incumbents, who will be barred from running for the Senate in 2031. The remaining 7 senators are allowed to run for re-election in 2031. Now let's look at 2028. 4 senators will be barred from running for the Senate. Gatchalian and Hontiveros have been speculated as candidates for the presidential election, while as of May 2026, Villanueva and Zubiri have declared to be retiring from public office after the stint in the Senate. Robin Padilla will also follow the 4 senators, declaring to be retiring, which, good riddance. So this leaves 5 seats open for new or returning candidates. That leaves 7 current senators who can run for re-election, with currently only 1 of them declaring to run for re-election, leaving the 6 other senators remaining as potential candidates. As of May 2026, 5 people have declared the intent to run for the Senate in 2028. The first candidate is actor and politician Anjo Llana, most famous for being one of the hosts of Eat Bulaga. He'd balanced his political career as a city councilor at Parañaque in 1998, later becoming vice mayor in 2004. In 2013, he served as a city councilor of the 5th district of Quezon City from 2013 to 2019, later moving to Camarines Sur and then Calamba, Laguna, failing to win a seat in both areas. As of now, Anjo is infamous in the entertainment industry for his statements made to his former co-stars of Eat Bulaga. In regard to his run for Senate in 2028, he has spoken about the mass corruption in the government and described himself as a political analyst. He has also talked about re-establishing the death penalty, specifically for corrupt politicians. While his political stance remains ambiguous, his political support for Duterte may land him in a potential alliance and association with Duterte-aligned candidates. The second candidate is former COMELEC and COA Commissioner Rowena Guanzon. An economist and lawyer, was the mayor of Cadiz from 1986 to 1992. Guanzon was then appointed commissioner to the Commission on Audit for about 8 months. In 2015, she became a commissioner to the Commission on Elections, most known for her role in the disqualification case against Bongbong Marcos during the 2022 presidential election, accusing Commissioner Amy Farilino of delaying the case until she could not vote due to her retirement. The disqualification case was dismissed after Guanzon's retirement. Guanzon was later named as a nominee for the P3-PWD party after all of its nominees withdrew after the party won a seat in the House of Representatives, but her nomination was halted by the Supreme Court. Guanzon later ran in 2025 but lost. Guanzon's political affiliation later became clearer in her affiliation with Duterte-aligned figures. On March 13, 2026, during a pro-Duterte event in Cebu, she announced her intent to run for Senate in 2028, stating that she would fight for Visayans and claiming a seat in the Senate to represent the Cebuano people, despite not being Cebuano herself. Vice President Sara Duterte also revealed that Guanzon expressed interest to be a part of her Senate slate in 2028. The third candidate has actually tried to get into the Senate 3 times. Salvador Panelo is a lawyer and columnist who has infamously served as defense lawyer for numerous controversial figures in the country, including Duterte. He would later serve as Duterte's chief legal counsel and presidential spokesperson. The fourth candidate may be a sign of a new trend for influencers and content creators to run for public office and lose. Banat Bay is an online political influencer who got his start by working for another political influencer and fellow politician, Mocha Uson. a pro-Duterte figure were guilty of association, but not by is also a pro-Duterte figure, often making videos giving Duterte-aligned figures a positive light and have participated in rallies in support of Duterte. 4 for 4 on Duterte senators, huh? Well, the fifth and last candidate is a total curveball. Jesus Falsi is an actor, lawyer, and political influencer. He announced his intention to run for the Senate in 2028. Now, even though being an anti-Duterte figure and having been given support by people for his critical stance against them, he is also quite a supporter of the other side. Everyone is on a payroll these days. Should you vote for any one of them? Should they be the next senators of the country? No. But is there a chance? Unfortunately, yeah. Before we dive into speculation, let's cross out some names. Representative and a prominent figure in the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte, Zervil Luestro, stated her intention of not running for the Senate. Isko Moreno and Leni Robredo have stated that they prefer a public office in their city, and Vico Soto and Antonio Trillanes will not be seeking any public office in 2028. So that's the names we'll probably not see in the Senate. Let's look at the potential names appearing in the polls in 2028. Of course, the 6 incumbent senators could be on the polls, but there is a chance they may be in a different poll in 2028. Or in jail. 2025 senatorial candidates Teodoro Casino, Luke Espiritu, and Heidi Mendoza are speculated to take another attempt at the race for Senate. Francis Zamoa is a popular mayor in his area but is unable to run for re-election, leaving a run for the Senate a possibility. And then Representatives Chel Diokno and Laila de Lima are speculated to run for the Senate. But these are only the most speculated names in the possible run for the Senate. What do people actually think? Who would they vote for? These 3 surveys are based on the studies conducted by the research firm Tangier, with a sample size ranging between 1,500 and 2,400 people. In July 2025, 15 names were presented, with Pasig Mayor Vico Soto topping the poll with over 60% of participants saying that they would vote for him. Incumbent senators Rapi Tulfo, Escudero, Legarda, Caldero, and Padilla got into the winning 12, while Dingoy falls slightly behind. Former senators Grace Poe, Bong Revilla, and Sonny Angara got into the top 12, while senatorial candidates Ben Tulfo and Benjamin Abalos also got into the top 12. The only name in the list that haven't ran for Senate is Sebastian Duterte. In February 2026, the list slightly changes. Vico Soto's name was dropped following his intention to not run for office. Figures of local office Gatchalian and Belmonte appeared in the top 12 of the poll, while Manny Pacquiao somehow also got into the top 12. Names below the top 12 all have ran for the Senate once except for Francis Zamora. The latest survey in April 2026 shows the inclusion of another Duterte in the top 12, as well as Isko Moreno, despite stating his commitment to local office. The other names of the poll are all politicians except for one, the 14th most mentioned name, Ding Dong Dantes. We're letting anyone in the Senate, huh? I mean, he has held a public office in the past. That's a new TIL for you. If we base the prediction of the current survey, the Senate could have 6 senators with an immediate family member and 3 Tulfos. Fucking hell. We're still about 3 years to the 2028 elections, so who knows what happens. But that doesn't mean it hasn't started yet. With the next general election becoming one of the most divisive and critical points of the country, all I can ask you to do is to vote and vote wisely.